Okay. So let us now continue with our discussion on the last topic on the nursing pharmacology. It's on the respiratory drugs. So when it comes to the respiratory drugs, usually those drugs that are being administered in relation to respiratory disorders or conditions are directed to the opening of the airway passages. And thus, other than upper respiratory or lower respiratory tract. So, on the respiratory drugs, let's start with bronchodilators. So, bronchodilators, from the term itself, dilate, it's certainly the focus is on the opening of the bronchi. And what are those situations that may cause the constriction of the bronchi? Dilation of the bronchi are certainly have the direct effect of sympathetic response. Thus, there are some conditions that may cause narrowing of the airway passages, just similar with asthma attack. So pagka may asthma attack, allergens may cause the stimulation of histamine 1 and may cause the contraction of the muscle and thus may cause its thickening of the airway passages and narrow the airway as well. So if the airway passages are narrowed, it will also deprive the airway exchange or the gas exchange on the oxygen intake and carbon dioxide uh, exhalation. So, pasok tayo on the bronchodilator. We have the so-called adrenergic agonist bronchodilators. Pag sinabi natin adrenergic, let's go back, that is sympathetic. Agonist, it stimulates. So usually, the action that you will consider here is the action of the production of cyclic adenosine monophosphate or CAMP. Ang action ng cyclic adenosine monophosphate ay nire-relax niya ang bronchial smooth muscle. So these are usually stimulated so that it will relax the bronchial smooth muscle and have a broad opening of the airway passages. So in this consideration, most of the drugs that are usually used ay yung mga drugs ending in rol, renol, at saka rin. Yung rin, familiar tayo dyan. Epinephrine, ephedrine. Kasi usually ang mga epinephrine ay rin, cardiac stimulant yan. Those are drugs that are being given if there is cardiac arrest. Kaya dalawa yung pwedeng maging effect nito eh. So as what I have suggested to you, you must have the mastery of the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Kasi certainly, pag ang drug ay nagko-cause ng stimulation of heart rate, which is sympathetic, nag-open din siya ng airway passages. So that's why involved dito ang epinephrine at ephedrine. Other than that, kung familiar kayo sa mga all, yung roll at saka all ang medication sa fixes. Salbutamol, Ventolin ang brand name, albuterol, yan, yung mga all ang huli. Those are respiratory drugs that are certainly bronchodilators. Pag ang drugs po ay dinagdagan mo pa ng ipratropium. Okay? What do we mean by that? Pag long acting, ibig sabihin for the stimulation of opening of airway passages, ito yung usually ng mga drug na binibigay via nebulization. Okay, long acting na siya tapos fast acting pa. So lahat ng drugs na may ipratropium albuterol, ipratropium bromide, usually pag nakadinig kayo ng Combivent at saka Atrovent, usually these are the drugs given via inhalation or nebulization. Okay? Sir, mayroon bang problem, sir, kung mag-overdose ng mga ganitong inhalants, yung mga nebulization? Yes, kasi since pag nag-overdose ka, alam na natin na sympathetic yung effect. Kaya usually magkocause yan ng tachycardia. Okay? Pag nag-tachycardia yan at nag-palpitate, that's an indication of toxicity na. So you really need to manage yung mga ganitong situations at alam po ninyo na yung overdose of this will certainly consider po yung increased workload of the heart as well. So on the other hand, we will not anymore consider this. Ang important lang po in the bronchodilators ay anything that will facilitate do not administer long-acting drugs. Ano yung mga long-acting drugs? Yung sinabi ko nga sa inyo, pwedeng mag-cause siya ng complication or toxicity. So, usually these are only given pagka mga emergency situations, pag mga long-acting. Because there could be usually may cause death kasi nga the tachycardia may cause increased workload of the heart. Next, you need to consider din po yung increased fluid intake kasi the increased fluid intake, remember class, pag nagdi-difficulty of breathing ang pasyente ninyo, if you will try to consider po yung put yung mouth sa mirror, 'di ba nagmo-moist siya? So ibig sabihin meron tayong insensible losses. So pag nagko-cause ng difficulty of breathing, may higher chances din po na pwedeng mag-lead into dehydration. Kaya need nyo po to have the 2 to 3 liters per day. Kasi usually ang orientation po ninyo ay pagka may phlegm, may secretions, increased fluid intake to liquefy. Other purpose then of why we need to consider increased fluid intake is kung ang pasyente ninyo ay nagdi-difficulty of breathing at pwedeng mag-cause din yan ng increased insensible losses. So nag-evaporate yan. Pwedeng mag-cause yan ng dehydration. Pero do not have those increased fluid intake at the time of difficulty of breathing kasi airway passages ang nag-o-open dyan eh. So, pwedeng mag-cause ng aspiration. Second, i-withhold mo rin yung fluid intake pag ang pasyente mo may enlargement of the heart, may congestion ang lungs, merong limitation sa fluid intake, usually 1 to 1.5 liters lang. Ang pag kami mga situations of enlargement of the heart, lung congestion, kasi nga nire-regulate natin not to trigger yung fluid retention. But other than that, walang heart enlargement, no congestion of the lungs, the kidneys can still regulate the fluid balance, then you can pursue the 2 to 3 liters per day. Question po, din may mga TB ginagamit rin po ba ito? Yes, ang bronchodilators po, pag may difficulty of breathing, they could use also this to facilitate airway passages. Kasi yun na nga kasi, the infection itself is pwedeng nagkukos na yan ng tissue damage because of the presence of the bacteria or microorganism. So pwede po itong gamitin for those patients with TB kasi alam naman po natin that the airway passages are narrowed because of the yung inflammatory process. Nag-inflame po kasi ang mga tissues because of the infection process. Okay, next po. Let us now consider naman po yung methylxanthines. Okay. Ang purpose din naman po ng methylxanthines ay ini-inhibit niya yung cyclic adenosine monophosphate. So same pa rin kasi yung cyclic adenosine monophosphate, yan po yung nai-stimulate para mag-cause po ng contraction ng bronchial smooth muscle. Ang methylxanthines po, these are drugs na binibigay usually pag mga critical situations, nasa ICU, yan usually ang mga binibigay na so that to maintain the opening of the airway passages. At ang mga gamot na ito are drugs ending in pilin. Okay? Lahat, aminopilin, thiopilin, dipilin, lahat ng drugs ending in pilin are methylxanthines. At ang purpose nito ay ini-inhibit niya yung cyclic adenosine monophosphate na the same din sa bronchodilators. So ngayon, ang kino-consider natin dito, contraindicated siya sa status asthmaticus. What do we mean by status asthmaticus? Pag ang patient po natin ay basically makonsider po yung um, hindi nag-cause ng conventional treatment ang asthma, and after 30 minutes po na hindi bronchodilator, nebulization, so nagbigay na tayo ng ipratropium plus what you call this, ipratropium plus albuterol, Combivent, Atrovent, wala pa rin. So I think status asthmaticus na 'yon. At basically hindi na ito ibibigay kasi hindi na siya nagte-take ng effect. So baka pag status asthmaticus na kasi ang situation na ng complication ng asthma, baka i-ano na siya, i possible po na mag-lead into endotracheal tube insertion na kasi nagnanarrow na yung airway passages at anytime ang pasyente mag-respiratory arrest. Pag na-respiratory arrest ang pasyente, ayun, kailangan ng insertan ng endotracheal tube. So, for methylxanthines, tandaan lang po natin na pagka nagte-take kasi may oral medications nito at kung 4 to 7 po ang tinatawag nating therapeutic drug level ng what you call this ng magnesium sulfate, ang mga methylxanthines naman or mga pilins, ang therapeutic level niya ay 10 to 20. Okay? Kanina napag-usapan natin yung digoxin. I think the therapeutic level ng digoxin ay up to 2. So more than that, more than 2, more than 20, yun na, more than 7 sa magnesium sulfate are toxic level. Ngayon, pag ang patient mo ay nagtitake ng pilin, very particular tayo dun sa mga xanthine containing foods. So kasi pagka ang patient mo ay bababaan ng xanthine containing foods, pwede naman mag-toxic effect kasi may xanthine ka ng tinitik na drug tapos may xanthine pa na containing beverages. Ano yung mga xanthine containing foods and beverages? Cola, coffee, chocolate. Tandaan po ninyo ha, pag may mga pilins po, ito po ang dapat ninyong i-reduce when it comes to their beverages and foods. So, pasok naman tayo sa corticosteroids. So, familiar tayo sa steroids na diniscuss natin, I think, during the pregnancy. So, dun sa premature delivery, kasi di ba kailangan mag-administer ng betamethasone sa mother who will undergo premature delivery para ma-help natin yung baby to secrete surfactant. At once she will be delivered po, or the baby will be delivered, it could already release the surfactant and have the lungs expand or facilitate what you call this, respiration. Ngayon, ang concern natin is may mga biochemical mediators tayo. So ito po yung mga tandaan ninyo ha, kinins, serotonin, histamine, these are biochemical mediators na pwedeng mag-cause ng inflammation sa lungs, sa blood vessel ng lungs, sa airway passages ng lungs, sa bronchial smooth muscle ng lungs. Okay, and that will cause swelling and narrowing. So thus, familiar naman tayo sa mga steroids, all drugs ending in zone, at saka IDE. Pag nakadinig kayo ng zone at IDE, ito yung usually yung mga puff. Ang tawag dito ay MDI. Okay. MDI is metered dose inhaler. Yung pag pinap mo, direct na siya na magpa-facilitate of anti-inflammatory effect. Okay? So now, pag oral po ito na tinitake ay usually important po ito sa situation wherein kung oral drugs po siya, it must be taken with meal. Kasi most of the steroids po talaga nagkakos ng gastric upset ito, pwedeng mag-cause ng bleeding. Ayun. So ano po, ito po yung may nag-question, paano po yung nagtitake ng steroids sa mga nag-gym? Actually, dun sa mga nag-gym po, hindi po prescribed. Kasi usually sa mga nag-gym, ang steroids are being used directly na ina-administer intramuscularly. At ang ginagawa po dito ay ang steroids ay sa skeletal muscle ang effect niya. Nagko-cause ng stiffness ng skeletal muscle kaya nagiging firm yung muscle. Pero again, since it is given intramuscularly, iba yung effect niya sa muscle. Hindi kasi usually pag tinitake yan orally, tinitake yan inhalation, ang effect niyan sa respiratory. But if it is given intramuscularly, sa muscle, sa skeletal muscle ang effect niyan. Pero again, it is not commonly prescribed because of its adverse reactions. So usually, when the patient is taking steroids or using inhaled steroids, kailangan i-rinse po ang mouth kasi nagko-cause ng dryness pag nagmi-meter dose inhaler, nagko-cause ng dryness ng mouth, kailangan i-rinse siya. And usually, ang oral dose with food kasi nga pwedeng mag-cause ng GI irritations. Next, pasok naman tayo sa leukotriene receptor modifiers. Yung mga leukotriene receptor modifiers, ito yung mga drugs that are being given sa mga pasyente na talagang severe asthma attack ito. Yan, lalo na dun sa during COVID-19, these are also being given kasi ang ginagawa naman nito ay aside from the ang patient mo ay nagko-corticosteroids, ang leukotriene din ay isang receptor na pwedeng mag-cause yan ng binablock niya yung inflammatory action. Okay, binablock niya. So malaking tulong siya. So that's why those drugs po ay yung mga drugs na ending in mga CAS. Yang Montelukast at Zafirlukast, these are for usually given yan sa mga severe asthma attacks during the COVID-19. Ito very familiar din yan na pine-prescribe. Kasi ang leukotriene po ay nakakatulong po to block yung anti-inflammatory, to block the inflammatory process. So, in this consideration, usually indication ito sa mga asthma, sa adult at saka sa children. As early as 12 months, kung merong mga ganitong situations po, binibigay po ang Montelukast. So, usually, these are being given kung ito po ay given, administer Zafirlukast po 1 hour or 2 hours after meals for best absorption. So, hindi siya before, it's after meals. So, usually naman ang Montelukast ay given at night. Next, pasok po tayo sa antitussive. Okay, dito na natin papasukin kung ano yung antitussive, anong ibig sabihin ng expectorant, anong ibig sabihin ng mucolytic. Okay, pag sinabi nating antitussive, ang purpose nito ay wala kang plema. Okay, walang phlegm. Tapos, ubo ka ng ubo. Very irritating na yan sa ano mo. Very irritating na yan sa upper respiratory tract. Kaya if you just want to suppress yung coughing reflex, kasi meron ng ganun naman yung nangyayari. Pag may irritation dun sa upper respi, the tendency is ma-stimulate yung coughing reflex. And in this situation, just to suppress the coughing, antitussives po. And usually the antitussives na pine-prescribe po ay yung ganito po, yung dextrometorphan. The purpose is to suppress the coughing reflex. Diphenhydramine could be one kasi sinusuppress na rin yung coughing. So for non-productive cough po ito. On the other hand, pag productive cough, mucolytic naman yung tinitake natin. So, contraindicated po ito. Ayan, tandaan po ninyo. Ang dextrometorphan at diphenhydramine ay contraindicated sa hypertensive, pregnant, and breastfeeding. So, next, I think, it just doubled the slides. Okay. So, let us now proceed with, other than the antitussive, pasok tayo sa expectorant. So, kayo na ba ay pinaasa? It's not on that matter. But anyway, expectorant naman ay dinidecrease yung viscosity of the tenacious secretions. Okay? So, yung lapot nung mismong phlegm ay dinidecrease yung viscosity. From the term itself, expectorant. Okay. Para ma-expectorate, pinapa-decrease niyo yung tenacious ng secretion so that by coughing, ma-expectorate mo siya. Kasi mayroon kang alam mo that there is secretion pag na nagbablock, tapos hindi mo siya ma-expectorate. And usually the drug that are being used dito as expectorant ay guaifenesin. Okay. So antitussive, yung dextrometorphan at diphenhydramine, isinusupress mo lang yung coughing reflex. So non-productive ito. But for guaifenesin, usually ito yung sa situations na meron itong mga upper respiratory tract infection na nandyan siya pero hindi mo siya mai-expectorate. So that's why we need to have expectorants. So, ang caution lang dito po ay uh, uh, caution the patient not to take gayapinizen pagka consistent na persistent yung coughing na associated with these situations. Asthma, smoking, very caution, have a caution on this. Last, respiratory drug. The respiratory drug on mucolytic. From the term itself, lytic. Okay, the lytic itself is dinidecrease niya yung mucus viscosity. Yung kanina, ang purpose natin, dinidecrease yung tenacious secretion para ma-expectorate. Ito naman, pine-prevent yung pagkapal ng mucus kasi mucus are also very important para smoothen yung passing of the air. Pero too much mucus itself at masyado siyang viscous ay pwedeng mag-cause na yan ng possibility of obstruction. Yun naman yung point. So in this situation, those drugs, ito po acetylcysteine. Ito usually prescribed din ito during the COVID-19 eh. Ito yung hinahalo sa water and then you will drink. And will pass through the upper respiratory yan para mag-cause ng liquefaction. Ito po, acetylcysteine is also the antidote for paracetamol toxicity. So acetylcysteine antidote siya sa acetaminophen. So acetylcysteine are mixed with kasi alam ko to, itong mga drugs na to kasi I've been afflicted with COVID-19 and most of these drugs were prescribed during those times. So mucolytics, okay? Ang responsibility natin dito is fluid intake pa rin. So I think that's all for the respiratory drugs.